I am so happy to have the women of the storm, the women from the Gulf Coast, storming Capitol Hill today and stirring up interest and support for these worthy goals and objectives. So thank you. It's wonderful to see the blue umbrellas again, right where they belong, outside of the Capitol, and we'll see them hopefully inside of the Capitol as we visit with offices not only throughout the Gulf Coast, but offices representing different parts of the country. And I thank the Women of the Storm, who this group was the premier organization leading the effort to bring members of Congress down to Louisiana and Mississippi and other parts of the Gulf Coast in the aftermath of Katrina and Rita, and then reminding again when Gustav and Ike came through to devastate many parts of the Gulf Coast. They're here to tell a very important story to the nation, and that story has to do with the fact that $3 trillion is contributed to the national economy from the Gulf Coast states. We're proud of that. 17% of the national GDP comes from the Gulf Coast. Nearly 50% of the domestic oil and gas produced by this nation comes out of the Gulf Coast, and more than 30% of the U.S. fisheries is generated off of the states and offshore of Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We can go on and on about the culture, about the special heritage of our part of the country. We could talk about the art and the music and the cuisine. We could talk about the great schools and universities. But this is a special place in America, and it's in a place that is greatly challenged. And I am proud to be leading the effort with Steve Scalise in the House and our delegation to take a very positive and concrete step right now, this Congress, this spring, to capture at least or direct 80% of the BP penalty money that Ann Milling has spoken about, directed to the Gulf Coast to support the restoration of the ecosystem, to make sure we're more energy sufficient, to make sure that our fisheries are getting the investment, our both commercial, recreation, and tourism industries are getting the support they need to continue to contribute in such a substantial way to our nation. I'm pleased to be leading that effort. I thank the Women of the Storm, and I have absolutely no doubt, ladies, that we will be successful with your determination and your stormy personalities. Thank you so much.
This issue is not partisan. This issue is about the future. It's about the future of our wonderful Gulf of Mexico and the coastal communities that whose entire way of life and economies are based on the resources of that wonderful ecosystem and that waterway. All that work needs resources, and the first step in that is, and I'm proud to be part of an administration and the Mavis Commission and the President who have called for fines from this tragedy to be dedicated as a first step, not the only step, in seed money to restoring our coast.
We urge Congress to pass bipartisan legislation to dedicate 80% of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill fines to a Gulf Coast restoration fund.